What's up? Hello! I have read over 200 books this year so far, and I'm going to tell you what my favorites are. I already did one of these videos back in like January or so, but that was for the books mostly published in the winter months. This round we have the books that are published in the spring and summer times, and what my absolute favorites are so far and what books I think should be on everyone's radar. Some of these books were sent to me as a free book in exchange for an honest review on Goodreads. Once I write that review, my obligations are done, and anything else I do with these books is just something that I want to do. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, we're gonna start off with Crescent City. Now this one is by Sarah J. Maas. I am a longtime fan of hers, and she came out with a brand new series this year, Crescent City. This world has vampires, it has fairies, it has angels, it has demons, and it has regular humans. They all live in the Crescent City, and there's a lot of power dynamics and power struggles. Our main character is half human, half fae, and she's assigned an angel to watch over her because of a murder case that's getting reopened. She has to try and figure out who murdered her best friend before that murderer can strike again. Now, I do love Sarah J. Maas, so I am very biased for that. And I do admit that this book, the first 300 pages, it's a little bit rough. No, it is honestly, it's rough. Once you get past that though, the characters really come into their own. The setting, you get a good grasp on it, and you're just so compellingly interested in it. So because of that, I highly recommend it. It was definitely one of my favorites so far of this year. The Other People. Now this one is by C.J. Tudor. So in this one, we have a father. He lost his wife and his daughter a few years ago. However, on the very last night of those two being alive, he distinctly remembers his daughter being driven the opposite direction in the back of some stranger's car. He has been holding on to that his entire life, and he's been trying his best to figure out what happened. The police don't believe him, his friends, his family doesn't believe him, but he knows what he saw. The more he digs into this, the more he starts getting warned off. At first by strangers, but then by people he knows. And all they're saying is that the other people were responsible. And if you mess with the other people, you're not coming back alive. I loved it. It was compelling. I was so fascinated by the concept of the other people and like how they fit into this book. It ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, and I'm upset about that. It's also one of those cliffhangers that just kind of keeps you wondering in a really good way. I thought it was really interesting the way he was kind of fighting against madness, against his instincts, against the truth that he wants to be true. And that all culminated in a super compelling story, and I really, really enjoyed it, so I definitely recommend this one. The Shadows. So The Shadows is written by Alex North. He wrote The Whisper Man from last year, which I really, really enjoyed. 25 years ago, Paul Adams, his best friend, was murdered by two teenagers. One was caught right away, the other one disappeared into the forest. The one that disappeared into the forest is Charlie Crabtree, and the months before his disappearance, he talked more and more and more about lucid dreaming. So being able to dream and affect things in the real world. Some of Paul's friends were really into that, and they started to claim that it was true. 25 years later, Paul has to come back to his hometown to take care of his dying mother, and he starts to get confronted with all these things that he repressed years and years and years ago. Meanwhile, one county over, there's a police investigation. Some kid was murdered the exact same way Paul's friend was murdered those years ago. There's a connection being made between these two events, and you're left wondering, is there something supernatural happening after all? Oh man, I really loved his Whisper Man, and The Shadows, I enjoyed it. It was got like that really good creepy vibe to it, and it was a lot of fun to try and figure out what is supernatural, what is real, and is our main character going insane. I definitely recommend it. It was a really great book. Problem Child. This is actually one of two books that Amazon sent me to review. This one is by Victoria Helen Stone, and it is the second book of a series where we have Jane Doe. Jane Doe has very limited emotions. She's only ever attached to one person, and in the first book that one person died and she decides to extract revenge in only the way a true sociopath can do. In this book, Jane finds out that she has a niece who is like her, so sociopathic tendencies. And that niece is missing and has been missing for months, and no one cares enough to go after her. Jane decides that she will be the one to bring that niece back, but because of that decision, she has to go back to her hometown where she was abused. If you're a fan of that first book, this one I think will fit really, really well. It's a little bit slower paced, you get a little bit more of a background of the characters rather than plot driven. However, I do love Jane, so I was there for it. I was so excited. This book ended up having a lot of growth for her, which I was totally there for and I totally supported. Also, like, the ending of this one drove me insane. I have to get the next one like as soon as possible, so definitely check it out. The Mother Code. Isn't it kind of like ironic and a little spooky when fiction starts to mirror real life? In this world, an infectious archaea is released and it starts to kill people very, very fast. Scientists are trying to find a way for the human race to survive, and what they end up coming up with are these children and their mothers. These mothers are robots with a lot of AI built into them. They have a lot of artificial intelligence. We follow a set of children and their mothers as they try to navigate this new barren wasteland and try and survive and find something and someone to hold on to. I really loved the science in this one, and as someone who's going for a PhD, I'm very, very picky on the science a lot of times. This one felt really solid to me. I loved the way the world was constructed. The flashbacks worked really well, which surprised me a bit, because like normally when you have a flashback to the disaster that happened and then you flash forward to the future, eventually you kind of go like, okay, I've had enough. Not this one. This one was still good. I thought this one was really unique, and it was an overall hopeful feeling at the end, which I appreciated, especially considering life right now. Something to talk about. This is Berkley Publishing's very first lesbian romance, and I think they knocked it out of the park right here. In this world, we have Hollywood powerhouse Jo, and she's seen on the red carpet making her assistant laugh, and the picture taken makes it seem like a very intimate, very sweet, kind moment, which sets the presses off. Like, they go crazy. All of these rumors surrounding Jo and her assistant, and Jo has never ever commented about her love life in the last, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years she's been in Hollywood. But what they don't realize is behind the scenes is that the assistant really did have a crush on Jo. So the two of them start to kind of come into a relationship, trying to figure out what it means to live with the press and their careers and how that all fits together. It was just a really nice read. A really fun, kind of gentle, kind of one of those reads where you can read in and you're just kind of like, oh, that was a nice one. So I definitely think this one is a really cute romance. I don't read too many romances to begin with, but this one definitely hit its mark with me. Allow me to recommend a middle grade book for you. Don't check out this book. It's all about a new librarian who moves to a small town, and she immediately starts shaking things up. She's letting kids check out books without a library card. She's checking out things that aren't even books. There's a kerfuffle. Now this book is told through just like found media, where like there's a newspaper article, there's an interview, there's an ad, and you kind of piece together the story yourself and figure out what's exactly going on. It's a really quirky book. It's a really exciting book. I've just read it, but I would almost want to read it again because it was so much fun to try and put all the clues together, and I'm like certain I missed some. I like the illustrations. I like the way it was put together. It feels like it would have been like kind of tough to throw everything together and make it work just right, but the authors managed it beautifully. So if you're looking for that short and sweet one, I got you covered. And then what if you're like Miranda? I just want some good YA. Like, I don't care about any of these grown-up books. I want young adult, and I want it now. This one. So this is actually the Owl Crate version of Where Dreams Descend, hence the Naked book. In this world, magicians are real. They're very much real. And our main character is being held against her will in a nightclub where she's forced to perform. She's always had this dream to go to Glorium, which Glorium is a city on the horizon. She's always wanted to go there and prove herself and her magic. However, little does she know, every time she gets close to going there, Jack, who is supposed to be her friend, wipes her memory so she continues to stay and perform at his bar casino thingy. One day she finds out, and she doesn't forget right away, and it's just enough to get that spark for her to escape. This one was, it was so much fun. It gives me like strong hints of Carole, but like in a good way, because Carole, talk about plot holes. But this one, not a stitch like that. I loved it. I was so wholly enamored. I definitely recommend hitting up this one. All right, that's it. That's my 6-month check-in, my 2020 book recommendations. Thank you so much for watching, and happy reading.